Well, Trump has been talking about going to Chicago. I told you, ladies and gentlemen, that I didn't even pay attention to illegal immigration until I went to Chicago for the first time. And what I saw there in Chicago made me start really paying attention to it. And Tom Homan is talking with Tucker Carlson, of all people, right? But I want you to hear what he's saying about the situation with illegal immigrants in Chicago versus what's happening with Black Americans and resources Black Americans aren't even getting. Let's go ahead and check that out.
And the Black community feels left behind because a lot of these people are, they could use some of that tax money in Chicago to help them.
Just basically made it, both parties have paid, especially the Democratic Party, a lot of attention to what Black voters want because they're a huge part of the Democratic coalition. And now that's not true. Anyone who says, it's just white racism is, what is your average Black person in Chicago, native born, family been here 300 years? What does he think of watching his city overwhelmed with illegal aliens?
Are getting massive amounts of care, right? Free hotel room, 3 square meals a day, free medical care. And the Black community feels left behind because a lot of these people are, they could use some of that tax money in Chicago to help them. They're taxpayers. They should have the first chance to get some of that help. But the mayor of Chicago just, he's ignoring his own community. And I was up there just over a week ago, and I met with hundreds of people that were up there, and they're suffering because of the decisions to take care of these illegal aliens. I mean, I saw city transit buses parked running fuel as warming buses. How about taking care of the homeless people in that city? But, they'd rather put these illegal aliens in a hotel room at $500 a night in the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City and give them 3 meals a day and give them free medical care rather than take care of their own people.
I want to point out something that Tucker Carlson has stated. He pointed out that when he said Black, he made sure to refer to Black Americans, those who have been here since the beginning, right? He didn't put us all in one, boat. See, the delineation movement, everybody has to acknowledge it. And with the delineation movement, that's the only way we're going to get something, that we need politically, because when we tried that, we all, are just one minority group. What we didn't understand is that other groups who came to this country, no matter where they come from, they didn't come on a collective mindset based on race. They came based on nationality, ethnic group, etc. And then those in the diaspora, they, yes, they are distant cousins, but they made sure, we talking about the immigrants, we ain't talking about people in their homelands. We're not talking about them. A lot of them separated themselves and othered themselves, right? And that's what a lot of people, really, in my opinion, is some of us discussing this, but we really don't understand or they don't understand the implication of othering themselves in America, and due to our history in America, while othering yourself is always going to put us, looking at you sideways, is going to make us not trust you when you other yourself. Now, a lot of them are trying to status correct now, but for years they was othering themselves. Now, with Chicago, and it goes back to what I said in the beginning, Chicago is the city that got me to really start looking at illegal immigration. Prior to that, I'm like, I'm not no immigrant. That's not my issue. I don't know why Black people even speaking on this issue. We not immigrants. We ain't got nothing to worry about. We ain't worried about ICE or XYZ. So at the time, I was more so like, I'm just going to just cover content that we normally cover with Black people. But that's one issue. Like, unless you a person who are from a different country who are Black, maybe. But I'm talking about us, the Black Americans. So until I went to Chicago, and then I told this story, and I'll tell it again because we got new people. So me and my wife went to Chicago for a few days. We went to Giordano's to eat pizza because I wanted her to try that pizza. We got out the restaurant. We saw, a young sister. It was cold. It was about October. It was kind of cold outside that night. And we saw her ducked off. And, she looked no different than the age of our daughter. And so, we had, pizza was bad. Only one slice was taken. And, I asked her, was she hungry? And she said, would she like a pizza? And she said, yeah, she'll love. She asked me to have any meat on it. I was like, no, I don't. And say, okay, cool, thank you. And then we had went, right down the street and got, some dessert and then some hot chocolate. And then I said, hey, my wife said, hey, let's bring her a hot chocolate. So we brought her the largest hot chocolate we could find over there and brought it to the young sister. And after that, when we walked away, I started getting so upset because I remember how some people from Chicago was telling me about all those schools that Rahm Emanuel closed, that they were putting, the migrants in these schools. But when they asked for to use these schools for community centers, the city of Chicago was saying no. And we know the Democrat Party runs Chicago. They've been running Chicago way back when to now. You understand what I'm saying? That is a stronghold for the Democratic Party. It's the city of Chicago. Now, fast forward to today, you have Mayor Brandon Johnson. What did he do? He kept making sure that the migrants were in great conditions, hotels, community centers, kicking out black people, right? Trying to kick out black people out of their community center to put in these people who chose to come over here. And the Biden administration has swung the door wide open. So a lot of people in Chicago are like, hey, man, where Trump at? A lot of people got tired of that. They tax dollars kept going to that situation. Some people don't remember, I'm going to say, how some people voted for Trump. It was because of that. A lot of people voted for Trump because of that. They were dumping all these people in our cities, in American cities, giving all the tax dollars to people who just got here yesterday, but say to hell with the American citizen. And the American citizen was like, what the hell? That's basically what the American citizen was saying. And especially the black American. As Tucker Carlson acknowledged that we've been here hundreds of years. He said 300, but we've been here much longer. Right? So there are black Americans that are actually excited that Trump talking about coming on down there with the feds and ICE and start getting these people out of here. Or some of the crime element too. Right? Now, I said this on the stream the other night, and I'll say it again. I don't like just harassing innocent people. I don't like that. People who's committing particular crimes, or problem areas, or gangs, or whatever. Hey, I'm all for putting them gangs in prison, because I don't think no gang should be existing. You want a gang, go to work. Go work with some coworkers. You know what I'm saying? You want to do form an organization to help children, educate. I don't care if you form an organization to go walk dogs. I don't care. But you don't need to be hanging out in an organization that has ties to violence. I don't care what color you are, what creed, don't care. I don't like street gangs. Never have, and I never will, because they don't bring nothing positive to our community for sure. All them little YNs running around, hey, I have no problem with them going to jail when they doing things against the community. But this is the thing. I think the effect would be pretty good, because look in Los Angeles, a lot of people will drive around and say, man, I can actually drive to work and get there in 30 minutes when it used to take me 2 hours, because a lot of them running out of there. They congest the traffic. They jack up the gas prices because of all that traffic. The food prices go up. The rent prices go up. The home prices go up, because you have all these people here that didn't even come in here the right way and should not even be here. They say they want to come here for a better life, yet they pass up so many Latin American countries, because the majority is coming from Latin America. They pass up so many Latin American countries who are actually doing good. I'm wearing a shirt that says Costa Rica, and I've been to Costa Rica. Shout out to Costa Rica. Costa Rica is doing good. I didn't see no issues in Costa Rica. They pass up Costa Rica to come up here, a lot of them. They don't want to be in Costa Rica where people speak the language and have their culture, right? No. They don't want to be in Costa Rica. They want to be up here. Well, why wouldn't you? Because Costa Rica's not going to give you a free hotel. Costa Rica's not going to give you food stamps and EBT, Section 8 and all, free houses and all that. Costa Rica's not going to give you all that. And it was a free fall up here. So don't forget how Trump got in office with a lot of people. People were tired of the Biden-Harris administration just importing all these people here and dumping them in the cities. And then now the local taxpayer is going to had to deal with the situation. You understand? That's really what it was. So with Tom Homan and some of the feds talking about coming in to Chicago, there's going to be people welcoming that. They're going to be definitely some black people going to be happy to see that. And at the same time, there are black people saying, well, hey, why don't y'all audit where the tax dollars went? Audit that. Find out where all our money went. Because a lot of people is getting paid a bag off of, watching the migrants, some medical people doing security firms. They were getting a big bag from the city of Chicago. All that money could have went to helping out the black community. and other communities, but for sure get our cut out of that, because that's black people's tax dollars. Brandon Johnson messed up the budget so much that now they in debt when they wasn't in debt like that, behind spending all this money on migrants. If Brandon Johnson was about something, he would have told them, he'd have put them on buses and sent them up there to Springfield and say, Governor Pritzker, you take care of them. 'Cause I can't take care of them. No, I don't want them here. If they come up here, I'm sending them right up there to Springfield where y'all at. Y'all make the laws, so y'all fix it. I guarantee you, Governor Pritzker wouldn't want all them people up there with him, right? But there's a lot of black people that will welcome that. Definitely will welcome that. Like I said, but them messing with innocent people, it's going to be a problem in Chicago. They do that. I will keep repeating that. With that illegal immigrant situation in the cities, and listen, when I did the research about illegal immigration in America, they really don't have to go to nowhere else but all the major cities in America. Do you know the majority of the illegal immigrants are in the major cities in America? If you get the major cities and you get all the major cities cleaned up, you just about solve 90% of the problem. Do you know that? Maybe a little more than 90%. The majority of illegal immigrants are in the major cities. Your Houston, your Dallas, your Atlanta, your Chicago, your Detroit. Anywhere there's a major city, that's where they are at. So if you get all those cities and get them cleaned up or whatever, you're not going to have the problem. It's still going to be some. Oh, it's going to be some. But if you can really get those major cities, you will solve the majority of your problem. It's really that simple. The majority of your problem will be solved, according to what we read. But let me know what y'all think, about, those of you who are in Chicago. Are you welcoming Tom Homan to come there with ICE and start doing enforcement operations and the feds coming in and patrolling the streets? I want to know what y'all think about that, because I know in D.C. they've been doing, they own one. But see, D.C. a little different than Chicago, because D.C. is kind of like federalized, and Mayor Bowser don't really have power like that, but it's different with Brandon Johnson and the city of Chicago Council, and also, the Governor Pritzker. Remember, Muriel Bowser is a mayor. She's not a governor. And governors have certain powers, and they can fight back a lot in ways that she couldn't fight back, right? That's why Gavin Newsom is fighting against Trump with the situation in Los Angeles. It's not just he gonna come and do whatever he want to do. Understand what I'm saying? He is in one instance, but he's not in the other. So yeah, let me know what y'all think about that, and think that would y'all like to see Chicago the streets be cleaned up, especially with a lot of the illegal immigration.